6 months after the Cardiff viral moment, the effects were still reverberating through royal circles, academic institutions, and popular culture. What had started as a simple public appearance had evolved into a cultural phenomenon that challenged traditional ideas about royal behavior, authentic relationships, and the power of genuine human connection. The immediate aftermath brought unprecedented media attention to the science of body language. Dr. Sarah Mitchell found herself fielding interview requests from news outlets around the world, all eager to understand what made Harry and Meghan's interaction so captivating. Her academic paper on the subject became the most downloaded article in the Journal of Nonverbal Communications history. "I've never seen public interest in body language research reach this level," Dr. Mitchell admitted during a television interview with BBC News. "The Cardiff footage seems to have awakened people to the idea that there's a science behind human connection. Suddenly, everyone wants to understand what authentic love actually looks like." The impact on other royal couples was immediately noticeable. Prince William and Catherine, while maintaining their more traditional approach to public appearances, began displaying subtle increases in physical affection during official engagements. A touch on the shoulder here, a brief hand squeeze there, small gestures that suggested the younger couple's influence was spreading through the royal family. Royal protocol experts found themselves in the unusual position of having to adapt centuries-old guidelines to accommodate a more modern approach to public affection. The palace issued new guidelines that, while not explicitly mentioning Harry and Meghan, clearly expanded the acceptable parameters for physical contact during official engagements. "The institution is evolving," explained royal historian Dr. Margaret Thornton in a lecture at the Royal Historical Society. "What we witnessed in Cardiff represented a fundamental shift in how younger royals view the balance between personal authenticity and institutional obligation. The fact that it was so well received by the public has essentially validated this new approach." The psychological research community embraced the Harry and Meghan footage as a valuable teaching tool. Universities across the globe began incorporating the Cardiff analysis into their relationship psychology curricula. Students studying human behavior could now point to a real-world example of healthy attachment dynamics playing out under extreme public pressure. Dr. Amanda Foster developed an entire course module around the viral moment, using it to teach students about secure attachment theory. "It's incredibly rare to have such clear video evidence of healthy relationship dynamics," she explained to her graduate students. "Most couples would struggle to maintain this level of authentic connection under normal circumstances, let alone with millions of people watching and cameras recording their every micro-expression." The fashion industry took notice as well. Designers began creating clothing lines specifically marketed as connection-friendly, garments that facilitated easy physical contact between partners. The idea that clothing choices could impact relationship dynamics became a selling point for everything from wedding dresses to casual wear. Celebrity couples found themselves under increased scrutiny as body language experts, and the general public began applying the Cardiff standards to other high-profile relationships. Red carpet appearances were analyzed for signs of genuine connection versus performed affection. The Harry and Meghan moment had essentially raised the bar for what authentic celebrity relationships looked like. The long-term impact on Harry and Meghan themselves was perhaps the most significant. The positive response to their authentic public behavior seemed to encourage even more genuine interactions during subsequent appearances. Rather than retreating from public affection due to increased scrutiny, they appeared to embrace it as part of their public identity. Relationship counselor Dr. Jennifer Walsh began using the Cardiff footage in her practice with couples struggling with intimacy issues. "I show them this video and ask them to identify what they see," she explained. Without fail, they recognize the genuine care and connection between Harry and Meghan. It helps them understand what they should be working toward in their own relationships. The ripple effects extended beyond romantic relationships. The viral moment sparked conversations about authenticity in all types of public interactions. Politicians, business leaders, and other public figures found themselves being evaluated not just on their words and actions, but on the authenticity of their nonverbal communication. Social media platforms saw an explosion of content related to body language analysis. Amateur experts emerged by the thousands, offering their interpretations of celebrity interactions, political handshakes, and even interactions between friends and family members. While not all of this analysis was accurate, it demonstrated a widespread hunger for understanding the science of human connection. The Cardiff moment also influenced academic research priorities. Funding organizations began receiving more proposals for studies on authentic versus performed affection, the impact of public scrutiny on relationship dynamics, and the role of nonverbal communication in public perception of couples. The Harry and Meghan effect was driving scientific inquiry in entirely new directions. Dr. Patricia Chen found herself collaborating with technology companies interested in developing applications that could help people improve their own relationship dynamics. The Cardiff footage demonstrated that there are measurable, teachable skills involved in healthy relationships, she explained. If we can help people recognize and develop these skills, we might be able to improve relationship satisfaction on a much broader scale. The cultural impact was equally profound. The viral moment seemed to give people permission to be more authentic in their own relationships. Social media was flooded with couples attempting to recreate the genuine connection they had witnessed between Harry and Meghan. While not all of these attempts were successful, they represented a shift toward valuing authenticity over performance in personal relationships. Marriage counselors reported an increase in clients specifically requesting help with being more like Harry and Meghan. While some dismissed this as celebrity worship, others recognized it as a genuine desire for the kind of secure, supportive partnership that the Cardiff footage had demonstrated. People saw something they recognized as real love, explained couples therapist Dr. Robert Martinez. For many, it was the first time they had seen what a healthy relationship actually looked like in action. That recognition created a desire for something better in their own lives. The international response was equally fascinating. Body language experts from different cultural backgrounds analyzed the footage through their own cultural lenses, leading to interesting discussions about universal versus culture-specific indicators of relationship health. The Cardiff moment had inadvertently become a cross-cultural study in human connection. Educational institutions began incorporating the footage into their communications and psychology programs. High school health classes used it to teach students about healthy relationship dynamics. College courses on media literacy used it to explore the difference between authentic and performed public personas. The long-term research implications were still being explored years later. Longitudinal studies followed couples who had been inspired by the Harry and Meghan example, tracking whether their attempts to emulate authentic connection led to improved relationship satisfaction. Early results were promising, suggesting that conscious attention to nonverbal communication could indeed strengthen partnerships. The Cardiff viral moment had achieved something remarkable. It had made the science of human connection accessible and desirable to the general public. What started as a spontaneous display of affection between two people in love had evolved into a cultural catalyst for deeper understanding of what authentic relationships could look like. As time passed, the footage continued to be studied, analyzed, and celebrated. It had become more than just a sweet moment between a royal couple. It had become a symbol of hope for authentic human connection in an increasingly digital and performative world. The lasting legacy of those 30 seconds in Cardiff was still being written. But one thing was clear. Harry and Meghan's willingness to be genuinely themselves in public had changed conversations about love, authenticity, and human connection in ways that would influence researchers, couples, and casual observers for generations to come. Years later, when relationship experts were asked to identify the most influential public displays of authentic affection in modern history, the Cardiff moment invariably topped their lists. It had proven that genuine love, when displayed without artifice or calculation, had the power to inspire, educate, and transform public understanding of what healthy relationships actually looked like. The viral moment had become timeless, a perfect captured example of two people choosing authenticity over performance, connection over protocol, and love over convention. In doing so, they had inadvertently created a masterclass in human connection that would continue to inspire and instruct long after the cameras had stopped rolling. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had studied thousands of hours of footage featuring public figures and their relationships, but the Harry and Meghan material presented something entirely unique. As she sat in her behavioral psychology lab at Cambridge University, surrounded by multiple monitors displaying the viral moment from different angles, she couldn't help but be impressed by what the data was revealing. The micro-expressions alone told a fascinating story. Using specialized software that could detect facial muscle movements lasting mere fractions of a second, Dr. Rodriguez discovered that both Harry and Meghan displayed what researchers call genuine happiness markers throughout their interaction. Unlike the trained royal smiles they both wore during formal portraits, their Cardiff appearance showed involuntary muscle movements around the eyes that simply cannot be faked. The orbicularis oculi muscle contractions were consistent and bilateral in both subjects, she noted in her research journal. This indicates authentic emotional responses rather than performed expressions. Most interesting was the synchronization of these micro-expressions between the couple, suggesting a deep level of emotional attunement. Meanwhile, relationship expert Dr. Amanda Foster was conducting her own analysis from her clinic in Edinburgh. She had built her career studying couples therapy and had developed a keen eye for authentic versus problematic relationship dynamics. The Harry and Meghan footage provided a masterclass in what healthy attachment looked like in action. What struck me immediately was their spatial relationship, Dr. Foster explained to her research assistant. They maintained what we call optimal intimate distance throughout the encounter, close enough to provide mutual support and connection, but not so close as to appear clingy or insecure. This suggests a relationship built on secure attachment principles. The technical analysis revealed layers of complexity that the casual observer might miss. Harry's protective gestures weren't possessive or controlling. They were supportive and responsive to Meghan's cues. When she leaned forward to interact with children in the crowd, his hand moved to support her balance. When she stepped back, he provided a steady presence for her to lean against. This dance of mutual support spoke to hundreds of hours of unconscious calibration between the two. Body language expert Dr. Patricia Chin focused her attention on what she termed micro-negotiations, the tiny adjustments couples make to accommodate each other's needs and comfort levels. Watch how they navigate the crowd, she pointed out to her students during a lecture. Neither one dominates the interaction, but they're constantly checking in with each other through touch, glances, and subtle positioning adjustments. The couple's hand-holding technique became a particular point of fascination among researchers. Unlike the formal, parade-style hand-holding typical of royal couples, Harry and Meghan displayed what experts call intimate grip patterns. Their fingers interlaced completely, with Harry's thumb maintaining contact with the back of Meghan's hand. This type of touch suggests comfort with vulnerability and a desire for maximum physical connection. Dr. Sarah Thompson, a specialist in nonverbal communication at the University of London, noted something even more subtle in their interaction pattern. They're breathing together, she observed while reviewing slow-motion footage. When couples reach this level of unconscious synchronization, it indicates a profound emotional and physical bond. It's actually quite rare to observe in public settings, especially under the pressure of media scrutiny. The psychological implications of their public display sparked debate among relationship experts. Some argued that such obvious affection in public suggested a need for external validation. Others countered that their comfort with public intimacy actually demonstrated confidence in their relationship. Dr. Michael Harrison, author of several books on celebrity psychology, fell firmly into the latter camp. Insecure couples often avoid public affection because they're afraid of appearing vulnerable. He explained in a radio interview that aired shortly after the viral moment. Harry and Meghan's willingness to be genuinely affectionate in front of cameras and crowds suggests they feel secure enough in their relationship to let their guard down. That's actually a very positive sign. The cultural context added another layer to the analysis. Royal relationships had traditionally been characterized by public restraint and private intimacy. Harry and Meghan's approach represented a fundamental shift in this dynamic. Cultural anthropologist Dr. Rebecca Mills spent weeks analyzing historical footage of royal couples to provide comparison points for the Cardiff appearance. What we're seeing is unprecedented in modern royal history, Dr. Mills concluded in her preliminary report. Previous royal couples maintained what we might call institutional distance during public appearances. Even when clearly devoted to each other, they adhered to protocols that minimized physical contact. Harry and Meghan have essentially rewritten these rules. The technical aspects of their synchronized movement patterns fascinated kinesiologists studying the footage. Dr. James Parker, who specialized in human movement analysis, identified several instances where the couple moved in perfect harmony without apparent verbal communication. They're essentially moving as a single unit while maintaining their individual personalities, he noted. It's like watching two dancers who've rehearsed together for years, except this is completely spontaneous. The facial analysis revealed even more intriguing details. Both Harry and Meghan displayed what researchers term involuntary intimacy signals, brief moments where their public personas dropped completely and their genuine feelings showed through. These moments typically lasted only a few frames of video, but they provided powerful evidence of authentic emotional connection. Dr. Rachel Stevens, a forensic psychologist who often analyzed video evidence for legal cases, was struck by the consistency of their emotional displays. In cases where affection is performed for cameras, you typically see inconsistencies, moments where the mask slips or the performance becomes obvious. With Harry and Meghan, the emotional tone remains constant throughout the entire interaction. That's very difficult to fake, especially under such intense scrutiny. The protective behaviors displayed by both partners sparked particular interest among evolutionary psychologists. Dr. Mark Thompson noted that Harry's protective gestures toward Meghan were matched by equally subtle protective behaviors from her toward him. She's monitoring his comfort level just as carefully as he's monitoring hers, he observed. This mutual protectiveness is a strong indicator of pair bonding and suggests they view themselves as a team facing the world together. The timing of their touches and glances revealed sophisticated nonverbal communication patterns. Communication specialist Dr. Lisa Chun identified over 30 separate instances where they exchanged information through touch alone, warnings about crowd density, encouragement during difficult interactions, and simple affection for no apparent reason other than the desire to connect. They've developed their own language, Dr. Chun explained to her colleagues. A touch on the arm means, "I'm here for you." A squeeze of the hand says, "This is going well." A brief glance communicates, "Are you okay?" It's remarkably sophisticated for a relatively new relationship. The stress response analysis provided perhaps the most compelling evidence of their connection. Using biometric analysis of facial expressions and visible physiological markers, researchers determined that both Harry and Meghan's stress levels actually decreased when they were in physical contact with each other. During moments of separation, when protocol required them to split up to greet different groups, their stress markers increased noticeably. It's a classic co-regulation pattern, explained stress researcher Dr. Jennifer Walsh. Their nervous systems are literally calming each other down through physical contact. This kind of physiological synchronization typically develops over years of close partnership. To see it so clearly in a public setting suggests their bond is remarkably strong. The fashion choices even played a role in their body language story. Style analyst Margaret Reed noted that both Harry and Meghan had chosen clothing that facilitated easy physical contact. Meghan's coat dress allowed for natural movement and touch, while Harry's casual blazer enabled comfortable arm positioning for protective gestures. They're dressing for connection, Reed observed. Everything about their appearance choices suggests they prioritize their ability to interact physically over strict adherence to formal royal dress codes. It's yet another way they're prioritizing their relationship over institutional expectations. The crowd's response to their affectionate display added another dimension to the analysis. Social psychologist Dr. Martin Evans studied the reactions of onlookers visible in the background of various shots. People are genuinely delighted by what they're seeing, he noted. There's no discomfort or disapproval in the crowd's body language. Instead, you see smiles, positive emotional contagion, and what appears to be vicarious joy at witnessing authentic love. This positive crowd response contradicted some media predictions that the public would be put off by such open affection from royal figures. Instead, the genuine nature of Harry and Meghan's connection seemed to create a positive feedback loop, with the crowd's enthusiasm encouraging even more natural behavior from the couple. As researchers continued to analyze the footage in the weeks following the viral moment, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a sweet public moment between newlyweds. It was a demonstration of relationship dynamics that experts spend careers studying. The Cardiff appearance had provided a real-time masterclass in healthy attachment, mutual support, and authentic connection under pressure. The camera clicked at exactly the right moment. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stood together on the steps of St. George's Chapel, their wedding day glow still fresh on their faces. What happened next would become one of the most analyzed moments in modern royal history. Their spontaneous display of affection broke centuries of royal tradition and sent body language experts into a frenzy of interpretation. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex had always been different from other royal couples. From their first public appearance together, they showed a level of physical intimacy that made the British public do a double-take. While Prince William and Catherine maintained the traditional royal distance in public, Harry and Meghan seemed to exist in their own bubble of connection. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a leading body language expert from Oxford University, was watching the live broadcast from her London office when it happened. She immediately reached for her notepad, recognizing that she was witnessing something unprecedented in royal protocol. The way Harry's hand found Meghan's, the synchronized movement of their bodies, the micro-expressions that crossed their faces, it all told a story that words could never capture. The viral moment began with what seemed like an ordinary royal walkabout. Harry and Meghan were visiting a community center in Cardiff, Wales, just 3 months after their wedding. The couple had been inside for over an hour, meeting with local residents and youth groups. Meghan wore a simple navy coat dress that hugged her figure elegantly, while Harry opted for his signature casual blazer and dark jeans combination. As they emerged from the building, something shifted in their dynamic. Perhaps it was the crisp autumn air, or the sight of hundreds of well-wishers lined up along the barriers, but both Harry and Meghan seemed to relax in a way that royal couples rarely do in public. The formal masks they had worn during the indoor events began to slip away. Meghan stepped slightly ahead of Harry as they approached the crowd. Her movements were confident and graceful, but there was something else, a subtle lean backward, an unconscious reach for connection with her husband. Harry, for his part, seemed to anticipate her every move. His eyes weren't scanning the crowd like a typical royal protection detail would expect. Instead, they were focused intently on his wife. Body language specialist Dr. James Crawford later noted that this was the first sign of what he called couple synchronization. When two people are deeply connected, they begin to move as one unit, unconsciously mirroring each other's gestures and positioning. In the case of Harry and Meghan, this synchronization was happening in real time, broadcast to millions of viewers around the world. The crowd pressed closer to the barriers, eager for a chance to shake hands with the royal couple. Children held up drawings and flowers, while adults waved Union Jack flags. The atmosphere was electric with excitement, but Harry and Meghan seemed to create their own calm space within the chaos. Then it happened. As Meghan bent down to accept a bouquet of flowers from a young girl, Harry's hand moved instinctively to the small of her back. It wasn't a formal gesture of guidance that royal protocol might dictate. It was something far more intimate and protective. His palm rested flat against her coat, his fingers splayed in a way that suggested both support and possession. Meghan straightened up, the flowers in her hands, and turned slightly toward Harry. Their eyes met for just a fraction of a second, but in that moment, everything else seemed to fade away. The crowd, the cameras, the royal obligations, none of it mattered. There was only them, connected by an invisible thread of understanding and affection. What happened next would be replayed on news channels around the world for weeks to come. Harry leaned in, closing the space between them until their shoulders touched. Meghan responded by tilting her head slightly toward his, creating what experts would later term the intimacy angle. Their hands found each other naturally, fingers interlacing with the ease of a couple who had been together for decades rather than months. But it was their facial expressions that truly captivated viewers. Harry's usual slightly tense public demeanor melted away, replaced by a soft smile that reached his eyes. Meghan's face lit up with genuine joy, not the practiced royal smile she had been perfecting, but something authentic and unguarded. For just a moment, they weren't the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They were simply Harry and Meghan, two people clearly and completely in love. The cameras captured every detail. The way Harry's thumb traced small circles on the back of Meghan's hand, how Meghan's free hand came to rest briefly on Harry's forearm, the synchronized way they both turned to acknowledge a particularly enthusiastic group of children calling their names. Every gesture spoke of a deep emotional and physical connection that seemed to transcend their royal roles. Royal photographer Marcus Williams, who had covered the royal family for over 2 decades, later admitted that he had never seen anything quite like it. You could feel the electricity between them through the camera lens, he said in an interview months later. It was like they were having a private conversation with their bodies while maintaining their public duties. Absolutely mesmerizing to witness. The moment lasted perhaps 30 seconds in real time, but its impact would resonate far beyond that brief span. Social media erupted almost immediately. Royal watchers, body language experts, and casual observers all weighed in with their interpretations. Some praised the couple for their authentic display of affection. Others criticized them for breaking with royal tradition. But there was something in that moment that transcended the usual royal commentary. It spoke to something universal about human connection and love. In a world where public figures often seem disconnected from genuine emotion, Harry and Meghan's spontaneous intimacy felt refreshingly real. Dr. Mitchell found herself working late into the night, analyzing frame-by-frame footage of the encounter. What she discovered would form the basis of a groundbreaking study on authentic versus performed affection in public figures. This wasn't staged, she noted in her preliminary findings. Every micro-expression, every touch, every glance was completely genuine. You simply can't fake this level of synchronization and mutual awareness. The technical aspects of their body language told a fascinating story. Their breathing had synchronized, a phenomenon that only occurs between people with deep emotional bonds. Their pupil dilation suggested genuine excitement and attraction, even months into their marriage. Most tellingly, their bodies had unconsciously created what experts call a private space, a subtle but definitive boundary that excluded the rest of the world. As the couple continued their walkabout, moving from group to group of waiting fans, the initial viral moment seemed to have unlocked something between them. They remained physically connected throughout the rest of the appearance, their hands rarely separating for more than a few moments. When protocol required them to split up to cover more ground, they would glance back at each other with what observers noted was almost magnetic pull. Young royal watchers in the crowd seemed particularly captivated by the display. Many had grown up watching the more formal interactions between other royal couples, where public affection was limited to the occasional hand-holding or brief touch. Harry and Meghan's easy intimacy represented something entirely new in their experience of royalty. The viral moment concluded as the couple prepared to leave the venue. As they walked back toward their waiting car, Harry placed his hand on the small of Meghan's back once again. This time, she leaned into the touch, allowing him to guide her while simultaneously showing complete trust in his protection. Their final wave to the crowd was executed in perfect unison, two people moving as one. As their car pulled away from the curb, cameras caught one last glimpse through the window. Harry and Meghan sat close together in the back seat, their heads inclined toward each other in conversation. Even in that private moment, their body language spoke of continued connection and intimacy. The footage would be analyzed, discussed, and debated for months to come. But in that moment, as the royal car disappeared around the corner, observers were left with the undeniable impression that they had witnessed something special. Not just a royal appearance, but a genuine glimpse into a love story that was still being written.